Sometimes it's the simplest things that can make someone happy. It could be the breath of fresh air as you leave your house, the smell of coffee on a brisk Sunday morning, or the sweet sense of achievement from pulling your hoodie on the right way round and not having to awkwardly take your arms out and kind of shuffle it back round to the front. Over the last few weeks, I found myself close to addiction to my happy sensation. The ridiculous amount of dopamine that's being released whenever I manage to finish a day on Plateup, without completely screwing the pooch, has left me constantly wanting more and more. Plateup is a roguelike restaurant management game. Think of the famous Overcooked and get rid of the ridiculous mayhem of the restaurant moving around constantly, and just try to stick to the idea that everything can be completed by settling on a strategy and trying to actively follow through with your ideas. You have a choice of a few main dishes. These range from steaks, burgers, all the way over to things that are slightly more complicated like stir fries and breakfast. Personally, my favourite one is the pizza, because once you get it down, it's really simple to run the kitchen side of things. You go into a kitchen, one that you choose from the selection they give you each day, or if you have a particular one in mind, you can also look at seeds online and use those instead. I didn't really use the seeds for the first few weeks, but when you need a bigger kitchen, sometimes it does come in handy. The game works by basically starting you off with everything that you could physically need to make and serve the meals that are on your menu. And then as each day passes, you get the ability to buy another piece of equipment that can help you make your job a little bit easier, as the amount of customers will start to increase. There are ways to lower the amount of customers, but usually that's by adding extra dishes to your menu, so although you'll have less people to cook for, you'll actually have to cook a lot more. Are you keeping up? Now, the game can be played solo, but it also allows up to 4 people to play together. This way you would normally run it as 2 people in the kitchen and 2 people front of house, serving and doing all of those bits. At the start of the game though, having 4 people does feel a little bit overkill, too many cooks spoil the broth and all of that. But I've had runs where it's gotten to a bad point of the day and had to call in reinforcements for the next day because at a certain point it almost feels impossible to do it alone. With that being said though, the majority of my playtime on this game has been done solo. And in the short amount of time that I've actually owned this game, which I think is since September, it's managed to creep up to my 4th most played game on Steam, which over 10 years of ownership of my Steam account really shouldn't be able to happen. The game is possible with any number of people that you're playing with because ultimately it's down to your strategy and how you manage to execute each day. Playing solo, however, has taught me what I find the most enjoyable in this game, and that brings me on to my next point. One of the best things that comes with this game is the ability to automate your process. This is one of my personal favourite things about the game. You start off by doing everything and you try to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible, trying to set yourself up for a late game. And then once you're getting there and you have all the equipment that you need, you can begin the process of automating everything. This is usually by using things like grabbers, smart grabbers, and different types of machines. So, a good example of this is fries. Whenever I had fries on my menu, I would also try and get myself a heated mixer, a grabber, a smart grabber, and a prep station. This means that I would just have a constant supply of fries without ever having to touch any of it myself. I just grab them as and when I need them, and life is all good. I'll throw in a little picture here of how the fries work in automation, but you can do practically everything automated with only a few exceptions. One of the biggest ones that I can think of is trying to use an oven. As the oven has 2 processes, it's almost impossible to automate. You can have things going in and out of the oven automatically with little to no issue, but you do have to manually close the door to actually get it to start cooking. So if you want to use automation, get rid of the oven, throw in a microwave or a hob. Danger hob works best though for those faster cooking times. So one of my best runs yet, I got to overtime day 8, which in the standard of most people that play the game all the time isn't really that great. But a good way to explain this run is that I started with pizza. By the end of the run I was cooking a simple margherita pizza, but I also had turkey as a main, jacket potatoes and fries as a side, and then onion soup as a starter. Which, by the way, they always take a starter, so you have to make sure that you've got some if you've collected the card. We also then had coffee as a dessert, which if you've played the game, you'll understand, but if you haven't, coffee is one of the worst things to have as a dessert. Luckily, I only had 2 groups coming in each day because there were so many items on the menu. But the downside to this is they were groups of 7 or 8 people, so I could only physically fit 1 table in the restaurant. Because I was doing all of this solo, so my kitchen was inside of the restaurant. If it wasn't for the ridiculous amount of freezers that I managed to get a hold of, and automating my jacket potatoes and my fries, I definitely wouldn't have made it past overtime day 1. It is almost a guarantee. This is a game that I would say is considerably difficult. Before I had played it, I hadn't watched a single video on it, I hadn't looked up anything about it at all, I just got it and decided to give it a go. And on my first couple of tries, I only made it as far as day 5. This is because you need to strategize every single move that you're making. You'll need to rearrange your entire kitchen, your research stations, we'll get onto what those are in a minute, and your restaurant to make sure that it will run as optimally as possible. Here's a little secret that isn't very well kept. I work in kitchens for a living. That's my day job. So this game is what I thrive on, making a kitchen run as smoothly as possible whilst trying to make the most amount of money possible without getting yourself shut down. In the game you get blueprints. These are what are used to buy new equipment. You can put those blueprints into a blueprint cabinet, which will save them until the next round. This is a great thing to do just in case you don't have the cash flow to buy it at that current point. But these blueprint cabinets have a second feature. They work alongside something in the game called desks. So far, I think there's only 4 desks. The research desk, which can be used to upgrade blueprints put into the cabinet. A copying desk, which can be used to make a copy of the blueprint that's inside of the cabinet. This means that you have the ability to buy 2 of the same thing. You do have to pay for it twice though, because remember, that's important. There's also a discount desk. This is used to decrease the price of something that is inside of the blueprint cabinet. Something that I only noticed the other day is that the discount desk will halve the price of each item whenever it's used, but this also stacks, so eventually you could be grabbing grabbers for as little as 1 coin, when it usually was 60 coins. It is great. Some things in this game cost as much as 400 coins, so when you're looking at gaining that for around 5 to 6 coins, you know, you are winning there. And then the final desk that's available is the blueprint desk. This you just put somewhere in the restaurant, and throughout the round it will cycle through different items that you could potentially get. All you have to do is run over and click on it, and then that will make sure that one of the random blueprints that is given to you at the end of each round will be one specific thing. I feel like I could probably run through all of the equipment you can get in this game, but that would make this video incredibly long. So we'll just stick to the desks for now. Who knows, we might make a few Plateup videos at some point, I'm not entirely sure yet. But the music in this game is second to none. When you launch in, the music just hits you straight away with some straight up dopamine, and honestly, it is beautiful. It seems like it's pretty generic music if I'm being honest, but it just fits so well with the game, and I think that whatever they've chosen for this is perfect for the type of game it is. I think my favourite thing about this game is that it can be played both online co-op and local co-op. Now, it's not very often these days that you can get a really good couch co-op game. I know that Overcooked was also couch co-op, but if I'm being honest, I much prefer the layout of this game than Overcooked. Not because Overcooked is bad, by all means that game is incredibly fun, but because in this there's a lot more thought going into each move that you're making. It's not just about trying to coordinate the kitchen in that moment, it's about setting everything up beforehand and making sure that you can keep it running throughout the day. And then the community behind this game are brilliant. Everyone is so willing to help when it comes to trying to optimize a kitchen, and it seems to be one of those games that either just isn't filled with horrible people, or that they're so few and far between that it's almost like they don't matter. I'll be honest, my obsession with this game became very prominent in my life for a few weeks. This is half the reason I haven't managed to complete any of the games on my backlog, so we can safely say that if you've got a spare tenner with a few hours to kill, come over and give it a go. The price to performance ratio is very much in your favour with this game. I honestly cannot recommend this game enough for anybody that likes anything to do with cooking sims, or anything in the roguelike genre of gaming. It's fun to play, it's really fast paced. I've had so many nights where I've put it on just for a quick game and accidentally lost 4 hours just thinking one more run would be fine. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember to like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. Take it easy.